And welcome to our last session for this year. If you haven't met me before, my name is Carol. I'm one of the council members, and I hang around during our in-person meetings. Sometimes I make your supper for you. But what I'm going to be doing today is hosting a quiz for you based on a couple of the meetings that we have, some of the talks that we've had, some of the meetings that we've been to this year. And so some of the questions might also be based on just important or interesting astronomical events that took place this year. And so this particular quiz is going to take place online. As you can see on your screen, there is a link that is given to you right on the top. That's www.kahoot.it. So the way that you can do this is that you can use another device. So if you're, say, for example, watching this on your computer, you can play this on your phone. Or if you had another iPad or whatever it is, that might work too. But what you can also do is just open up another tab on your browser and just leave me you can hear me talk and leave this going, and you can play the quiz on the other tab as we go. So we're just going to give everyone a few minutes just to sort of log in. Once you log in, you will need to enter a PIN code, so that is 7563465, and then hopefully you should be able to join the quiz as soon as we start it off. I'm just going to make sure I've got all my settings right. So what should happen is that you should be able to see both the question and the answers show up on your screen. The questions will show up first. And you have about 30 seconds. Some questions might be a little bit longer, but roughly about 30 seconds to answer each question. And we have about 22 questions in store for you to answer. So we'll just keep going through, just give it a few more minutes just for people to join in. So we've got 5 people that are in right now. Now, if you do miss logging into the Kahoot and you're not able to join in, please remember that these questions will show up on the screen and the answer will also show up on the screen. So you can play with us at home and answer the questions yourself and test and see if you got it correct. We will be going through the answers together after each question. So we'll kind of go through it and we'll set the pace for the whole quiz just based on how we're doing. So just check to make sure that we have no one having any trouble logging in. It's a lot of fun. If your name pops up, then you will get points for each question you answer correctly, and then from there we will go on through. Awesome. How are we going for time? Great. Just give it another minute. So if you did want to log in and you did want to participate, it'd be great to have you on board. This is our final sort of quiz for the year. And there is no physical prize, as much as I would love to give you some astronomy related chocolate or sweet thing. Since we're stuck online, this is kind of as it goes, but that's all good. I just wanted to say thank you all for joining us this year and sticking with us with the online program as we're running it. Fingers crossed next year we'll be able to put a program together that will see us back in person again. But we're just going to hold off till we get more information to be able to do that and then go from there. But hopefully, I just wanted to say on behalf of everyone here at Auckland Astronomical Society, you have a safe holiday and that you guys take care of yourself during the summer season. Okay, so we've got about 9 people on. Let's kick off. and see how we go. Remember, if you did miss out or you did not, you weren't able to log in, that's all good. The question and the answers will pop up on the screen, so you can answer this at home if you would like to. And the rest of us, we will try this online and see how we go. So let's start. All right, so here is our first question. We're starting off. So what is the name of this Mars rover? So have a look at this image I've given you. You've got about 24 seconds left to join in, to answer this. Oh, and you've got 4 options: Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity, or Perseverance. A few more seconds left to go. Awesome, good job for those of you that got it right. This was the Perseverance rover that we have on Mars. Hopefully you were able to tell just by looking at the structure of the rover, and maybe some of you might have spotted the helicopter probe on there. But let's go on to the next question and see how we do. So good job if you did get it correct. Let's see who is on top. So Grant and Asan are leading the way, and Keith is coming in third. So we'll see if we can knock Grant off the top spot there. Here's the second question. So this time last year, Jupiter and Saturn appeared to pass near each other. This type of event is called a what? So in astronomy, we have a term for when 2 objects appear to be really, really close together or pass near each other in the sky. What is the term that we use for that particular event? So your options are occultation, conjunction, injunction, and asterism. Awesome, good job if you got that correct. Looks like most people got the right term. This is what we call a conjunction. All right, let's move on to the next question and see how we go. All right, Grant has definitely been knocked off the top there. Keith, Annette, and Mel are leading in the top 3. Let's see how we go. Which famous actor boldly flew past the Kármán line this year? So that's sort of the point where you're officially in space. So is it Harrison Ford, Arnold Schwarzenegger, William Shatner, or Tom Cruise? So which famous actor made that trip this year? It was indeed William Shatner. Good job, guys. It looks like we even got that question before the timer even ran out. So what will happen sometimes is that if everyone answers the question quicker than the 30-second timer, then it'll just kind of show us what the answers are. So let's see how we're doing. So Annette is doing really well. She has a streak of 3. So good job, Annette. Keith is still holding that top position in the scoreboard. Let's keep going on to our 4th question. How many single points of failure were found during the risk assessment of the James Webb Space Telescope deployment? So we know that the James Webb Space Telescope is due to hopefully be launched sometime soon. We've been waiting for it for so long. How many ways could the James Webb Space Telescope really fail, or can things go wrong? How many different points of failure did they find? Cool, the correct answer was 344. There's 344 single points of failure. So these are 344 individual ways that the James Webb Space Telescope could somehow fail when it is being deployed. So very interesting if you want to read up a little bit about it and see what's going on, because fingers crossed this nearly $10 billion project is going to succeed from Hubble and show us some really interesting things. All right, let's see how we're going on the scoreboard. So Annette has now taken over Keith and now is in that top position. We've got Annette followed by Keith and then Darth in 3rd place. We've got Mel and Grant following them just below. Let's keep going and see how we go. Now, sticking with the James Webb Space Telescope, what part of the spectrum, so the light spectrum, will the James Webb Space Telescope observe in? So it's, as a clue, it's not going to be exactly the same as what the Hubble can observe in, so we want it to be able to observe something a little bit different. So what is it that the James Webb Space Telescope is going to be able to see, or what sort of part of the light spectrum will it see? The correct answer was infrared. So if you are familiar, Hubble is really good with the ultraviolet and the visible, and so hopefully the James Webb will be able to show us a little bit more in that infrared spectrum. Great job, Mel. You've got a, you're really holding on to that position. We've got, Annette, holding on to that position on top, followed by Mel and then Danny Phantom Fan coming in third place. So let's see how we keep going. Now, with the latest launch of the Starlink satellite launched on the 18th of December, how many of these Starlink satellites have actually been launched to date? So have a think, because we did have a few just being launched not too long ago, so that's on the 18th. So how many have we officially launched? Good job if you got 1,944. That was actually calculated by Niven, so if you did want to contest that answer. But Wiki does tell me that there are still 1,784 satellites of those Starlink satellites that are still operational. So that was the correct answer. So good job, the four of you that did get it right. Annette is still holding on to that top position. Great job. Janine has now popped up as well onto the scoreboard, and Mel is there in third place. So let's keep going. We're on question 7. So Rolf, one of our astronomers and favorite astrophotographers, he won the New Zealand astrophotography competition this year with this picture of the supernova 1987A. It's called Light Echoes. When did this particular supernova occur? That's what SN mean. I couldn't fit all of those in. So when did that supernova actually take place? The one that he has photographed in this picture. It should be 160,000 years ago. So that tells you how far away that particular object is, because it's about 160 light years away from 160,000 light years away from us. So whatever did take place actually took place about 160,000 years ago. That's just how long it takes for that light to travel all the way to us. So good job if you did get it right. Let's see how we're doing on the scoreboard. Annette's still doing pretty well. Good job, Annette. Mel and Danny Phantom Fan are sitting there in the second and third place. Let's move on and see how we're going. Question 8 out of 22. Now, this one is worth double the points. Now, New Zealand was treated to 2 lunar eclipses in 2021, but where could you see the December 4th, 2021 total solar eclipse? Now, for this question, you need to think about it a little bit. So I've given you a little bit of extra time. So is it Antarctica, the North Pole, Western Australia, or the North and South Americas? So we're not talking about the lunar eclipses. There was a total solar eclipse that took place this month. But where did you have to be able to see it? So we've got a few more people who are still thinking about it. All right, great job. If you did write Antarctica, it was only seen in Antarctica. So those are the people that were there pretty much on the base. They probably were able to see it. So let's keep moving on and see if we can pick it up. So Darth is now Coming up the scoreboard, he's got an answer streak of 3, so that's really great. Annette's still holding on to that top position there. Which Apollo 11 astronaut died this year? So we've got Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin as your options. Awesome job if you got Michael Collins. Everyone forgets about Michael Collins, you know. People know about Apollo 11 and they know about Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, but Michael Collins doesn't sort of get that fame and recognition, but he passed away, unfortunately, this year. And good job if you did get that one correct. Let's see how we're doing on the scoreboard. Keith is coming up, and Danny Phantom Fan and Annette are still holding their place pretty strong. All right, what object did the Parker Space Probe apparently touch, that's why it's in quotation marks, this year? So is it asteroid Bennu, the Moon, Mars, or the Sun? So what object did the Parker Space Probe touch this year? Good job if you said the Sun. This was a bit of a trick question because it's known as the Parker Solar Probe, so that would have given it away, so I just kind of wrote it as the Space Probe. But good job if you did get that one correct. Keith has moved up. He is now sitting in second place. Good job, Keith. And Danny Phantom Fan, you're not far away from him. All right. Now, these are for the astrophotographers. The New Zealand Astrophotography Competition Trophy is named after whom? So one of these names out of the 4 that is written here is correct. So what is that trophy? Who is that trophy named after? So the avid astrophotographers, you guys might be really familiar with this, the name of the trophy. Great job. The answer was the Harry Williams Trophy. So those are the one. That's the one that people are gunning for when they are submitting their amazing, talented photographs every year for it to be judged. So that was. Let's see how we're going with the scoreboard. All right. Annette, Keith, and Darth now is moving up on the scoreboard. Let's keep going and see how we're going. How we get through here. We've got 10 more questions to go. So what is commonly found in the middle of a spiral galaxy? Now, this is based on, I'm pretty sure if you've heard some of Chris Benton's Intro to Astronomy talks, this should be something that would be pretty easy to pick up on. Good job. It is a supermassive black hole that we've got in the middle of our Milky Way. Great work, guys. We're still holding the same positions on the scoreboard. Here is another question about that supermassive black hole. So the one that we have in the Milky Way, it's called Sagittarius A. What is its estimated mass? So this is now in terms of solar mass. By solar mass, it means if we were able to weigh the sun, we knew how much the sun weighed. In terms of a sun or a solar mass, how many suns or how many of these solar masses would be the mass of the supermassive black hole right in the middle of the Milky Way's core? Great work. If you've got 4 million solar masses, so that is a pretty big value. I haven't seen that much money in my bank account before, so it's really hard for me to understand how much 4 million solar masses would actually look like. So that's a pretty hefty amount there. Let's see how we're going. All right. It looks like Annette is doing really well of holding that top position. And Keith and Darth have just swapped second and third place. Let's see how we keep going. We're on question 14. So what object did Auckland astronomer Jenny McCormick discover in 2009 and then name it New Zealand? So she's discovered a few things. So we're particularly just looking for the thing she discovered in 2009. Awesome, great job. It was an asteroid. If you ever see her around and get a chance to talk to her about her Farmcobe Observatory, it is pretty awesome. Hopefully you also did manage to catch her talk recently that she gave our members. If not, remember you can catch them online or rewatch them on our YouTube channel. All right, let's see how we're doing with this. Okay, Danny Phantom Fan has moved into 3rd place. Keith is up to 2nd place. Annette is still holding that 1st place pretty strong. We're on question 15. So, Copernicus revived the heliocentric model of the solar system that was originally proposed by one of these famous astronomers. So Copernicus and this person probably didn't even know, Copernicus probably didn't even know that this person's model was even there, but someone did propose the heliocentric model of the solar system a little bit before Copernicus. So who was it? Awesome, if you got Aristarchus of Samos, that was the correct answer. So good job to those 5 people. Looks like you guys were paying attention to Bill's talk recently. Let's keep going. The scoreboard has not changed in terms of who is in the lead, but great job, Annette, for holding that position. Let's keep going. Question 16. What is the Bortle scale? So does it measure stars? Does it measure the brightness of the sky at night? Does it measure Bortles? Or all of the above? It's a very important scale that astronomers use. So what does it measure? It in fact measures the brightness of the sky at night. You can get like a little SQM, like a little meter, it's quite quality meter, and you can measure how the sky is looking and how dark it is, or how much light is actually present in the sky. So talk to one of our astronomers or someone in our team if you are wanting to find out a little bit more about that. But let's keep going on, see how we're going. All right, great job, Keith. You've now pushed your way through to 1st place. So it looks like a very close battle between Keith and Annette, followed by Danny Phantom Fan in 3rd place. Let's keep going. Question 17. What is a globular cluster? So if you listen to Chris Benton's talk recently on open clusters versus globular clusters, he would have spoken to you about what a globular cluster is. Is it a spherical group, a rectangular group, a circular group, or a triangle group of stars bound together by gravity? Great work if you said it was a spherical group. Remember, it's like a little 3D ball of stars, not just like a 2D splat. So it is a spherical group of stars, so good job. Let's see how we're going. All right, we've got someone new on the leaderboard. Harish has now joined in 5th place, but Keith is still holding that top place there. Let's see how we go. Question 18. Now, constellations, they help us divide and map the sky. How many official constellations are there? So if you've been to any of our practical astronomy sessions, we talk a lot about constellations and how to navigate the night sky. And understanding the constellations are really important. So how many official constellations are there? Great work. We have 88 official constellations. Those are the 88 territories or regions that we split the sky up into. So great job if you did get that one correct. Let's see how we're going. The leaderboard hasn't changed. We're still sitting with the same top 5. Let's see if it changes with the next question. The Milky Way is our home galaxy, and it is a spiral galaxy. Which arm of the galaxy is the sun located in? Is it in Norma, Orion Cygnus, Scutum Centaurus, or Carina Sagittarius. There's a little offshoot, kind of a little spur. So which one is it? Great job if you did click Orion Cygnus. It's kind of in that Orion spur, so it's sort of off a little bit from there. But that is where our sun and our solar system is located in this giant home galaxy of ours. Let's see how we're going. The leaderboard has changed. So Annette has now reclaimed the top position. Danny Phantom Fan follows in second, and not too far away is Keith. So it looks like the top three are battling it out pretty tightly. Question 20. So Jonathan Park gave us a talk this year about the moons of Jupiter. Could be up to 600 moons. But how many do we know of officially? What is our official count of the moon, or roughly estimated in year 2? Awesome job. Jupiter does have officially like 79 moons that we know of, but like Jonathan said, there might be a lot more out there that we just haven't catalogued. Let's keep going. All right, the leaderboard has not changed. Let's move on to question 21. Now, this is one of the 4 Galilean moons. So Jupiter has 4 giant Galilean moons. Can you identify which one this particular moon is? Got Europa, Ganymede, Io, and Callisto as your option. It's a very geologically active moon, lots of eruptions, and kind of just looks very moldy. It is in fact Io, so great job for all 10 of you that did get it right. It is quite a stark image. So doesn't look like the heat leaderboard has changed much. Here is the last question for tonight. Personal favorite, talking about the Carina Nebula. How many light years away is the Carina Nebula? Awesome work. It is roughly about 7,500 light years away. Holds one of my favorite objects, Eta Carina, if you've ever seen it in a telescope. But this does bring us to the end of our quiz. Let's see what our final leaderboard looks like and who is our winner for the end of year astronomy quiz. We've got Keith in 3rd place. Great work. We've got Danny Phantom Fan in 2nd place. And great job to Annette for getting 20 out of 22 correct and a total of 16,686 points. So great job, all of you guys who did participate. I hope you did enjoy it. Have a safe summer. We've got Melanie coming up next just to give you a tour of the summer night sky. But I'm just going to say my goodbyes now, and I'll catch you around next year, hopefully in person.
Okay, Melanie, you're up.
Should I start presenting?
Yep.
So you can see that okay. Oh, okay. How's that? More like it. Excellent. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for that, firstly, Carol. Thank you for that great quiz. Just reminded me how much I rely on my planetarium in front of me when I'm talking about some of these things as to how many light years they are away. So thanks. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, just put together a few slides about some of the things to have a look for over the next couple of months. Obviously, coming into the Christmas and New Year period, hopefully you'll get a lot of time off. Hopefully now that you're able to leave the city, you will be getting away from all of those city lights and getting out to a nice dark sky to see some of the things that we've got up there. And this is, you know, the best time of the year, in my humble opinion, with our constellations. We're also really lucky with some of our planets. It's the tail end of those planets, but I talked about some of those last time around, but we still can see a couple of them over towards the west. So let's have a look. Happy Solstice Eve. By the way, last time I did this talk, it was Equinox Eve. So we've moved on a little bit in our position around the sun. Last time I spoke, we were down here, but now we've moved on. And there are quite a few things to see. So I'm just quickly tonight, it's not going to be a long presentation, but I just thought I'd quickly mention Comet Leonard. I'm sure you've all seen or heard a little bit about over the last couple of days. Mention the location of our planets, briefly go over some of our constellations and clusters, and something that I want for Christmas that was mentioned quite a bit in the quiz, but I'll talk about it as well. So right, let's start off with the comet. Okay, so there's a little bit of an addition to the solar system at the moment. There's the path of the comet Leonard, which was discovered only in January of this year, but has really brightened up and been quite exciting over the last few days. You can see its position here just past Venus on was the 18th our time, and now it's just gone a little bit further on from there, but we're hoping that we've got another few nights of spotting this potentially from Auckland. So if you've got a telescope, and particularly if you're going to get it, like I say, away from the city, you're able to have a look for this, then please give it a go. It is close to Venus. As I said, it just made a pass through, it just went very close to Venus in its orbit around the sun. So it still is quite close when you're looking over towards the west at the moment. This is our sky for this evening. You can see it there just a little bit higher and slightly more towards the south. And then I've put up there for you in the top corner the Stellarium's impression of what you might see through a pretty decent telescope. I think that's quite optimistic, but I'm looking forward to seeing the entries maybe in next year's Harry Williams astrophotography competition, and I know the guys at Stardome at the moment are actually there at the moment. We closed, but they're there having a look through the telescopes to see if they can spot it this evening. So have a look if you possibly can. So it's going to move it's moving quite rapidly, and for Christmas night, if you haven't eaten too much and it's dark enough, if you stay up, you're able to see it. Have a look again, same position but slightly higher, over towards the west, tending towards the southwest. Going back to our sort of map of where we are at the moment, you can see that we've got quite a few planets in viewing position there, with Venus and then Jupiter and Saturn. So the three in a line there, and then I've just put a dotted line there to Mercury. It's really, really close to the sun at the moment, so not visible for the next few nights, but I've just got a couple of slides to show where it will be a little bit later on in this quarter that I'm speaking about. So there you can see over towards the west, again, this is this evening, we've got Venus, Saturn and Jupiter in a line. Venus, exceptionally bright, right? So that's at magnitude, sorry, that should be negative 4.8 because magnitude is brighter as you get lower, so that should be negative 4.8, which is nearly as bright as it gets because it only gets to a maximum, well, gets to a maximum, I should say, of negative 4.92. which is exceptionally bright. Next to it there, up and to the right, we've got Saturn, which is 0.7, which is reasonable, but not the best it has been this year, of course. And then further up and to the right again is, of course, Jupiter. Looking exceptional as well. But again, these are going to be setting fast now, so won't be too long, only really a few days before they're getting very close to that western horizon and won't be the greatest viewing. Okay, so that dotted line, as you can see, to Mercury, showing that if we want to see Mercury, it's going to be really difficult. Mercury is, of course, always very, very close to the sun, but we will get a few options a little bit later on. So on Christmas night, it won't be possible, but as I move on in time, you can see for each day, the rest of the planets get lower in the sky, but Mercury here gets higher. And so that means that by the 31st of December, it should be high enough just above the trees there, at least in this simulation, for this person to see. I think the simulation is actually in France. This landscape is from France, but the view is simulating Auckland, and you just get a view of it before, just for, as you can see there, for 6 days until it begins to set again and be too close to the sun for us to view. Okay, looking to the other side. Now, these aren't visible with the naked eye, of course, but for those of you I know have some really powerful telescopes, may be interested in taking a look at Neptune and Uranus. So they're in a nice arc there, of course, the arc of the zodiac. Neptune at around 8, positive 8, as a series. I've just put in series there. Some people might be interested in that a little bit further along, but above this beautiful star cluster here, which I'll of course get to later on, the Pleiades or Matariki here. Ceres is definitely possible to see through a larger telescope in a dark sky environment. So do try and give that a go if you possibly can. And then last but by no means least, I've put in my favorite planet just because I absolutely adore Mars. From the middle of January, this here is the 11th of Jan. You can just see Mars above the horizon before the sun comes up. And I guess what's notable about Mars, what's really nice about it when it's in this position, is that what you've also got up in the sky just above it and to the left slightly is you've got the red star, the red supergiant star Antares. And why I like these two close in the sky is, you know, they do have kind of a relationship with Mars being the Greek god of war. Ares was the Roman equivalent, and Antares is the rival of Mars. So it's Ares and not Ares in the sky, really close to one another. So that's a really fun thing to look out for when they are close like this. All right. Having a look over towards the northern sky at the moment, of course, there's just one group of stars that is really the wayfinder for everything else, and that is the 3 stars there of Orion's belt, or Tautoru. If you've not heard the name Tautoru before, in Te Reo Māori, Toru is like 1, 2, 3 in Maori, Toru, Tahiro Toru, and then to or toto is to suspend in the sky. So it's the 3 suspended in the sky, and they point us towards the direction of Orion. There's Orion's head there. It's 1, 2, and there should be 3 dim stars really close to one another that mark Orion's head, and then his 2 shoulders there, Betelgeuse and Bellatrix, and Rigel, that blue giant star there that marks his heel or his foot. So we know we're in the right place for Orion. And Orion, of course, you're all familiar with the Orion Nebula M42, which is about magnitude 4 at the moment. I just put the details there of this photograph because I always like to see what kind of equipment you need to take a nice photograph like that. But always nice to remember also that just that entire part of the sky is full of beautiful hot hydrogen that, if you had a better telescopes, you might be able to see something that looks a bit like this. And I apologize that the image isn't quite orientated correctly, but you can see it's Orion's head, which for us is at the bottom of the constellation, and then his two shoulders, Bellatrix, Betelgeuse, Totoro, or the belt of Orion, and then his bright feet, Rigel, and Safe. But you can see how this is just all hot hydrogen, and really just the Orion Nebula is one very, very small but beautiful part of this. It also shows the location of the Horsehead Nebula, if you're able to see that. Okay, now using Orion's belt as a guide, we can always draw a line to the brightest star of the sky, Sirius. So in the Northern Hemisphere, it seems that Sirius is very easy to pick out as the brightest star. It's a little bit harder for us having Canopus, the second brightest star, quite close to it over towards the south, especially at the moment when Canopus is quite high. But using Orion's belt, you should be able to make out that star as part of our big dog. So either the eye of the big dog or some of the collar hanging around the neck of our big dog there, his body and his tail. I've tried to draw a stick dog as best I can. But anyway, you get the idea. And most people know of Canis Major, but often Orion's poor little dog gets left out of the mix. So to find the little dog, it's quite easy, quite fun to make the summer triangle in the sky using Sirius that we just found there with Orion's belt, then Betelgeuse as well. Okay, make this beautiful big summer triangle in the sky. So Betelgeuse we saw before, and then down here, of course, we have another bright star, which is called Procyon. Now, Procyon is the tail of our little dog, Canis Minor, and then this star here is the head of the big dog. And that's it. It's 2 stars. So that's usually why we sort of forget about it, I think. But anyway, it's fun to have a look for. Not only is it fun, but it's also quite useful. What I'm going to do now is just move us on to slightly later in the evening, when these constellations are a little bit higher in the sky. It's a little bit darker, as you can see there, and just do that again to form the summer triangle and find our little dog. But why I've done that a little bit later on is because as it gets later, we get the rising of another really well-known constellation that looks a lot like the little dog. Okay, so you can see here is our little dog, Procyon. Yeah, we make that same shape in the sky, just closer to the horizon down here. What we've actually found are the stars Castor and Pollux. And those 2 stars are the heads of the Gemini twins. So, of course, as a zodiac constellation, they're pretty well known and always fun to have a look for. So, maybe not the most fun to make stick drawing out of, but easy to find. Okay, returning now back to Orion's belt. We're going to head in the opposite direction from Sirius. So, of course, we went that way for Sirius. Now we're going to head over in this direction until we find Matariki, the Pleiades, the 7 sisters. Okay, so unfortunately, contrary to popular belief of the general public, when they all come to Stardome to want to see the 7 sisters during June or July, or during the time of Matariki, and I'm sure that's going to happen even more in 2022 when we have our public holiday on June the 24th, this is the best time of the year to see the Pleiades. Okay, so there's actually several thousand stars in this cluster, but depending on how good your eyesight is and whether you're in Auckland or not, you should be able to see distinguish a few of them. Up to about 9 of them is generally the best that you can possibly do. But of course, they've got names that we use in astronomy, and then also their names in te reo, and each of these was said to be a god or goddess of a particular important part of everyday life. Okay, so that's Matariki, the Seven Sisters over there, but halfway in between Matariki and the shoulder of Orion here, Bellatrix. In the middle here, we have another bright red star, and this one here is Aldebaran. Aldebaran is the angry red eye of Taurus the bull, who is, he looks like he's sort of fighting Orion in the sky, sort of like they're having a bit of a battle there, and then you can see that the Seven Sisters sort of ride on the back of Taurus the bull. So all of these constellations have nice stories and are interrelated, and it just makes finding them quite a fun thing to do over the Christmas New Year period. So if you're not familiar with them, do have a look. Okay, now I'll only quickly go over the southern stars. We don't have much time tonight, and I did go over this in great detail last time, so I've actually just taken the same picture and moved it on through the evening there. But of course, we've got all our south celestial stars, so those ones that do not go beneath the horizon there, Alpha and Beta Centauri. Just a reminder that Alpha Centauri in itself is an interesting thing to have a look at through even a reasonable telescope. You can really distinguish the 2 of the 3 stars that make up what looks to be that singular point in the sky. But together, those 2 stars will point towards the Southern Cross, which we can always use to find up here the star Achernar, which is handy to help us find the midpoint, the south celestial pole. So that is the south pole in the sky. Okay, the other way that you can do it, which is slightly more accurate, and I do recommend this if you can, is just to draw that line through the middle of the 2 pointers to look for the south celestial pole instead. Okay, in this part of the sky, here's just some of the highlights that you can have a look for. Some of these things are a bit higher in the sky than they were last time I spoke. And yeah, I actually added in the Carolle Nebula there, mentioned in the quiz. Glad it's a fave. That's actually, I got that question right because I just had a look at that one earlier on today. But there we go. So Carolle Nebula is just a little bit higher than the Southern Cross. In the Southern Cross, we have the jewel box, and up really nice and high around 10 p.m. at the moment, we have our Magellanic Clouds. Have a look for the large and small Magellanic Clouds there in between the Southern Cross and Achernar. Okay, so that is just a nice quick look at the sky at the moment. I just had one last thing to share, and I wasn't even sure if it was really going to work. But all I wanted for Christmas was the actual final launch of the James Webb Space Telescope. So it seems like everyone is keeping an eye on this as much as I am. So let's fingers crossed that it actually goes ahead and that we have the launch of this telescope. It should be at 1:20 a.m. on Christmas morning. So I will be getting up early to check that it's actually gone ahead as planned. While you know, this isn't something that you can see in the night sky necessarily, I did find that there is something that you can do at home just to bring the magic of the James Webb Space Telescope to your Christmas, and that is to make your own web mirror paper snowflake. So if you're into that, or you're a little bit bored over the next couple of days ahead of Christmas, just Google the web mirror paper snowflake, and there's all the instructions you need for making your own James Webb Space Telescope Christmas decoration. There you go.
Thanks, Melanie, for another really interesting and informative look at the night sky. I think the quiz has maybe tired everybody out because nobody's asking any more questions. Oh, we do have one question just come through. David wants to know, what are the best objects to look for in the southern sky if you only have 8x50 binoculars?
Right. Go back. 8x50 binoculars. Yeah. Okay. Like and a tripod, I hope. That if you don't have one of those, right, that's what I'd ask for Christmas, and or a really sturdy pile of books to put it on. I would personally go for the jewel box for the first thing. Another thing that I haven't actually got on this list, secondly, I would then go for 47 Tucano. Okay, so that's at its best early in the evening, and so that's just off to the side here. That is a really beautiful cluster that doesn't need really too much. You should be able to get a bit of definition through binoculars. And another thing, you have to wait a little bit later in the night sky for what I've got here, but if you just bear with me, is to look for Omega Centauri, and we can find that by using the 2 pointers here. Take Beta Centauri, go down into the left, and in that same distance, in that same direction, one more time until you see this object here. Now you see, you can actually see it in this presentation. I haven't circled it because it's too close to the horizon, but if I can implore you to wait until midnight when it is a bit higher in the sky, in fact, or 1 a.m. if I can be that greedy, until it's a little bit higher in the sky. That for me is my favorite thing to see through binoculars. Just a really beautiful sphere of about 5,000 stars packed into a beautiful tight ball.
One of my favorite objects as well. No more questions, so all remains is me to say thanks again for another fantastic presentation, and very happy Christmas to the Stardome team, and to all of our viewers at home. Thanks again.
Thanks very much.
Bye now.